Hello students. In continuation of the previous topic, that was nutrition in plant, today we are going to cover the new topic, that is nutrition in human being. So as all of you know, human being shows the mode of nutrition, that is heterotrophic mode of nutrition, because we directly or indirectly depends on the producer or the plants. Our need of the nutrients is fulfilled from the producers. We depends on others. That's why basically human is also showing the heterotrophic nutrition. In heterotrophic, we have discussed that there are different ways of obtaining nutrients. One of the most basic way animals shows, that is the holozoic mode of nutrition. There may be some animals which are parasite. There are some heterotrophs like fungus or fungi. They are saprophytes also, means they obtain their nutrients from dead and decaying substance. They release some enzymes on their food. Digestion is extracellular, and after digestion food is absorbed. So saprophytic organisms show absorption of nutrients, that is the absorptive mode of nutrition. In parasite they take digested nutrients, but when we come to the holozoic, in holozoic organism take complete food. Here complete food means undigested food, and after that ingesting the food they digest. So holozoic nutrition include two very important things we have to keep in mind: ingestion and digestion of nutrients, digestion of food. Digestion of food. So all holozoic organisms first ingest the food and then after they digest the food. Holozoic means they take complete food. Complete here stand for the undigested food. Complete food, or in other word we can say undigested food. So we have a system in our body. That system is called digestive system, and this digestive system help us to carry out digestion, absorption of the nutrients. So in case of human, digestive system consists of two major parts. So first we will discuss the major parts of digestive system along with their role in digestion. So we will take both the things together. We will not go into much more detail of structural part. We will be focusing more on the role of parts of our digestive system in digestion physiology, how they help in digestion of food. So broadly, when we talk about our digestive system, it have two parts. So first part, or it can be broadly divided into two parts: a long tube that extends from mouth and end at the anus. This long tube is called alimentary canal. This is called long tube, is called alimentary canal. And this alimentary canal have different parts, all of us know, that is the mouth cavity, or that is also known as buccal cavity, okay, or esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and large intestine. And at the end we can write here anus. So these are the different parts of our alimentary canal. So this long tube is called alimentary canal, where the food is digested and absorbed. Other part, very important part of our digestive system, this is the first, and second very important part of our digestive system include the digestive glands. These are called digestive glands. These are accessory digestive glands. These digestive glands help in secretion of digestive enzymes, and they play key role in digestion of food. So we will cover three major digestive glands: salivary glands, salivary glands. Then another very important gland, that is the liver. Then pancreas. So we will discuss about the role of these three glands in our digestion physiology. So broadly we can say human digestive system consists of two parts. First part is called alimentary canal. This is long tube, muscular tube having various diameter, thickness. Okay, mouth cavity or buccal cavity, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and anus. These are the major parts of our alimentary canal that extend from mouth and ends at the anus. Beside that, we have digestive glands. The major digestive glands of our digestive system are salivary glands, liver, and pancreas. So if we look into the diagram, here we can see the mouth open into a cavity that is called buccal cavity or mouth cavity. There is a common junction, a passage where our nasal cavity and mouth cavity open is called pharynx. Pharynx open into a long muscular tube that is called esophagus or oesophagus. Esophagus through a wall open into a sac-like structure, J-shaped sac-like structure. That J-shaped sac-like structure is called stomach. Stomach open into a long tube, coiled tube, and that is called small intestine. So small intestine is called, it's narrow in lumen, that's why it is called small intestine, but it's quite long. Okay, it's the longest passage of our alimentary canal. Small intestine open into large intestine. Large intestine again have three parts, like small intestine have three parts, that is duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. Three parts are there of small intestine. Large intestine again have three parts, that is the colon, then caecum and the rectum. There are three parts. Right, so colon again ascending, descending, there are three parts are present in the colon also. So this is the overall organization of human digestive system. Beside that, we can notice here there is presence of glands. These digestive glands are called salivary glands, which are located in our mouth cavity, near the mouth cavity. Then we have another largest gland, that is the liver, and here you can see, you can observe there is a yellowish structure, extended lobed body, that is called the pancreas. Okay, so we will take one by one part. We will start from the mouth and mouth cavity, and we will discuss the role of these organs in the digestion physiology. So first of all, if we talk about the mouth is the opening which helps in ingestion of food. Mouth is covered or protected by a pair of lips. In the mouth cavity, if we talk about mouth cavity, inside the mouth cavity there is presence of tongue and teeth. These two important parts are there of our mouth cavity. So tongue allopino help in tasting of food. There are presence of taste buds. Tongue also help in proper mastication, and tongue only push the food below the teeth for the proper churning, mastication of the food. Teeth, we have variety of teeth. In junior classes you have studied. The teeth which help in incision are called incisors. The teeth which help in tearing, canines. Then there is for mastication premolars and molars. So directly you have to remember the teeth in human or have certain arrangement, and that we represent as the dental formula 2, 1, 2, 3. So here this is showing the right or left part of the jaw. So if you look into upper jaw, and this one we represent as the lower jaw. So in the upper jaw, two incisors are present in the right side, one canine is present, one or two premolars are present, and three molars are present in adult. So number of teeth in adult is 32. Okay, so these are maybe permanent teeth in young ones. They may be wisdom teeth, Okay, in the milk teeth in the young ones and permanent teeth in the adult. So this is, you can remember as the dental formula. So in this represent the, you can write these are incisors. This is canine. These represent the premolar. That is for your idea. You can recall all these things. These are molars. Okay, so this represent only in lower or upper jaw. This is our right side lower jaw and upper jaw. They perform different functions. Now in human, when we talk about dentin, human have teeth. These are called thecodont. We use word thecodont, means these are embedded. These are embedded in sockets. Okay, that's why these are called thecodonts. Right? These are called heterodonts. In human also we use word heterodont. So we have variety of teeth. Okay, different type of teeth. All teeth are of not same type. That's why we use word the hetero. Hetero means different types. Okay, and these are some use diphorodonts. Diphorodont. So this diphorodont word stands for teeth appear twice in our mouth cavity. Teeth appear twice. Once as the milk teeth, and then there is presence of permanent teeth and wisdom teeth. So this is the only recap of teeth and dentition. Teeth play key role in mastication, cutting, biting, churning of the food, and please remember, teeth also help in holding the food in the mouth. Okay, so teeth help in physical digestion of the food. Means they physically break the food, and that is being converted into food which can be easily engulfed. During mastication of food, all of you can sense that there is presence of some fluid in our body, and that fluid is called saliva. And this saliva help in formation of, after mastication of food, this saliva help in formation of bolus. We use word bolus. Bolus word we use for the food, amount of food we engulf. Okay, so saliva help in proper mastication of food, and that help in easy swallowing of the food, and that food, part of food that we engulf, we intake in our esophagus is known as bolus. Now let's talk about the, we are talking about the mouth cavity. In mouth cavity there are presence of, not directly in the mouth cavity, in the wall of mouth cavity there is presence of gland. So let's talk about salivary gland first. So salivary glands. So you can see here there is presence of 3 pairs of salivary glands. So we will not go into detail of the name and all of salivary gland. These glands are parotid gland. Parotid glands are present near the internal ear, means the auditory tube. These are present near the auditory tube. So these are present as a pair. These are the largest salivary gland, parotid. Second pair of gland present, this is the smallest one, present below the tongue. Okay, these are called sublingual. The word itself says sublingual, below the tongue. And another pair of gland present in the lower jaw. So these glands are called submaxillary. So parotid, sublingual and maxillary. There are 3 pairs of glands present, and these glands together release or secrete. These are exocrine glands. They open through the salivary duct. The salivary glands open in mouth cavity through salivary duct. The duct is called salivary duct. Okay, these are glands with duct. These are exocrine glands. Okay, and secretion from this gland is called salivary juice. This is very interesting word to note here. Salivary juice. Our mouth cavity remain always wet because of this salivary juice. In short, we can say this is saliva. Okay, this is the fluid. Maximum part is water, along with this some salts, and mainly there is presence of some enzyme. So we will talk about the enzyme. Saliva and its pH is of 6.8, almost neutral, and which is essential for. So this not only help in digestion, this keep our mouth cavity wet, that help in proper mastication of food. So salivary juice contain a very important key enzyme. That enzyme is called salivary amylase. This enzyme is called salivary amylase. Other enzymes are also present, but we will follow strictly what is written in the NCERT. Salivary amylase. Amylase enzyme help in digestion of starch. So maximum part of our food, of our diet is carbohydrate. And starch is a kind of carbohydrate. If we talk about the bread, if we talk about the different vegetables like potato, rice, maximum component of these all food items is nothing but the starch. So digestion of starch start in our mouth cavity itself. And the name of enzyme that digest starch in our mouth cavity is known as salivary amylase. So salivary amylase, remember here we say starch, we will write salivary amylase, we will write on the arrow because this is the biocatalyst, this is the enzyme that help in digestion. So starch is digested into simpler form, that is called a sugar, maltose sugar. Please remember, salivary amylase help in digestion of starch. Starch is a complex, it is a long chain polysaccharide. Okay, it is being converted or it is broken into the simpler form of sugar. So this is complex form of sugar, polysaccharide, and this is simpler. Simpler means this is disaccharide. It contains 2 glucose molecules. So this reaction is very important. That is digestion of starch into maltose. Digestion of food start in mouth itself. What component of food get digested in mouth is nothing but the starch. What help? Saliva. Saliva contains the enzyme called salivary amylase. Besides that, saliva also help in proper mastication of food, bolus formation and engulfing of food. Next point, if we move down the mouth cavity or our buccal cavity, there is a common passage. This passage is called pharynx. And pharynx have common opening, that is from the nostrils or nasal passage and the mouth cavity both have a common passage. Pharynx is generally defined as the common passage of buccal cavity and the nasal cavity. The part toward the nasal cavity is known as nasopharynx and part toward the buccal cavity is known as buccalopharynx. Okay, pharynx open into a long muscular tube. That long muscular tube is known as esophagus. So second part here you can see this long muscular tube that extend from the pharynx and enter inside our abdominal cavity. This is the only tube that passes through the diaphragm. This is long muscular tube present dorsally in our body, and this tube help in carrying. This is, we can write as the esophagus or sometimes we call it as the esophagus. Okay, long muscular tube. And please remember, this long muscular tube carry food from mouth cavity. All of you know, mouth cavity to stomach. Cavity to stomach. In other words, we can say it carry bolus. Okay, bolus from mouth cavity to the food, or food is carried in form of bolus. Okay, to move this food down, to carry it to the stomach. This is a long tract. There is a movement. This tube show a kind of rhythmic movement, and this rhythmic movement is generally defined as peristaltic movement. This movement, so rhythmic muscular contraction or movement. Rhythmic muscular movement, or in other word we can say contraction, is called this is very important word, peristaltic or peristaltic movement. Peristaltic contraction also we can use. So please remember, this movement is actually seen in all the complete alimentary canal. In the complete tract this movement can be seen, but this peristaltic movement is most visible in the esophagus, and this movement is the rhythmic movement, rhythmic contraction, and this rhythmic contraction help in movement of bolus down to our stomach. Okay. Okay, so next part after esophagus, In esophagus there is rhythmic movement. That rhythmic movement helping movement of the food downward, and this contraction, this rhythmic contraction in the alimentary canal, or particularly we are talking about the esophagus, is known as peristalsis or peristaltic movement. Okay, as food reaches to the stomach. Okay, so when we talk about stomach, if you look into the structure of the stomach, okay, these have different parts, pylori, fundus and so on. So these parts we are not going to discuss. Remember it is J-shaped. Stomach is a muscular bed, is a muscular structure, muscular sac. Okay, and it is a J-shaped structure. Primary function, if we talk about the primary function, the role of stomach, that is storage of food. All of you know? Storage of food, that is temporary storage of food. When we ingest the food, when we eat our food, primarily this food gets stored in the stomach. That's why once the stomach gets filled, we say my stomach is full, because stomach only store the food. Besides storage, stomach also help in mechanical churning of food, right? This mechanical churning of food along with the digestion, that is the called partial digestion. Here the partial digestion of food takes place. Particularly component of food, partial digestion, that is the component of food digested here is, remember, protein. Protein part of our food is get digested in the stomach. This mechanical churning and partial digestion lead to formation of food that turn into very soft form of food, that is called chyme. So please remember, churning inside the muscles of the stomach and partial digestion due to some enzyme, there is formation of the soft pulp of food, that is known as the chyme. Then stomach act as gland also. Stomach release juices also, and the juices released from the stomach is known as it release gastric juice secretion. Gastric word stand for the stomach. Gastric juice secretion. And this gastric juice contain many important enzymes. So please remember, stomach help in storage of food, temporary storage of food. This also help in mechanical churning of the food, because that is a muscular bed. There is a continuous movement. Then stomach helping partial digestion of the protein. Particularly you have to focus on the protein. Okay. And this partially digested food, okay, is called chyme, that move to the small intestine. Stomach release, the wall of stomach act as the gland and it release enzymes, or there is a secretion. That secretion when we can call as the gastric juice. So we have to go into detail into what is the role of gastric juice in digestion of the food. So as I mentioned, gastric juice play a very important role in digestion of protein. Proteins are always complex, and digestion of protein start in the stomach itself. Right? So when you look into the digestion of protein, okay, first of all we have to look into secretions. So gastric juice, when we say juice, main component of the gastric juice will be water only. Along with water there is presence of proenzymes. So proenzymes, only one proenzyme we are going to discuss in detail, that is proenzyme like pepsinogen. These are released as proenzyme or inactive enzyme. Okay, proenzyme, or these are inactive enzyme, because these enzymes are proteolytic enzymes. These enzymes are protein digestive enzymes. When we say protein digestive enzyme, these enzymes to be released as proenzyme. If they are released as active enzyme, what will happen? They may damage our intestinal, our stomach wall itself. So they can digest the muscles. They can digest the even human when consume the animal flesh, that also get digested in the stomach. So these powerful enzymes may damage our stomach wall. To prevent it, these enzymes are released in form of the pro-enzymes or inactive enzymes, and our stomach's inner lining is protected by there is presence of mucus that secrete the mucus. There is a presence of mucus lining that separate the inner environment of the stomach with the wall of stomach. So mucus protect our stomach wall from the action of these protein digestive enzymes. These protein digestive enzymes are released as proenzyme. One example is pepsinogen. This pepsinogen is activated by another secretion, that is HCl, hydrochloric acid. So stomach wall secrete hydrochloric acid. Please remember that is all of you know this is a strong acid, hydrochloric acid. Its pH is around 2 to 3. This is highly acidic substance, hydrochloric acid. So there are two major components we should discuss about. Proenzymes, part of gastric juice, and another one is the hydrochloric acid. So if you look into this pepsinogen, as we know, is a proenzyme, is a proteolytic enzyme, or in other words we can remember this is protein digestive enzyme. Protein digestive enzymes. All the enzymes released in form of proenzyme, like renin in form of prorenin. Okay, so please keep in mind this pepsinogen is converted into active enzyme pepsin by the hydrochloric acid. So let's first talk about the significance of secretion of HCl. So first importance of significance of HCl is activation of pepsinogen into active enzyme pepsin. Active enzyme pepsin. So we can write in form of reaction also. So here we can write pepsinogen. Pepsinogen is a proenzyme. Okay. On the arrow we will write hydrochloric acid, and this converted into active enzyme that is called pepsin. Pepsin, you have to remember, is the active enzyme, and this pepsin will help in digestion of protein. Okay. Second importance of hydrochloric acid. This is the first importance of hydrochloric acid. Second importance, provide acidic medium for digestion of protein. Provide acidic medium. Okay, acidic medium in stomach required for the digestion of protein. Third importance of hydrochloric acid we can write. Hydrochloric acid is a strong acid, so it kills microbes or pathogens. Kill microbes present in the food. So quickly we can recap. Hydrochloric acid provide acidic medium for the digestion of protein. Hydrochloric acid play key role in activation of enzymes. So like proenzyme pepsinogen activated into the active enzyme pepsin. As well as this is a strong acid, so it kills the microbes. Now let's look into how the pepsin. We have talked about the active enzyme pepsin which arises from the pepsinogen. So how the pepsin acts? Pepsin will help in digestion of complex protein. So as I mentioned, pepsin will carry out the partial digestion. Partial means that will broken down into intermediate products. Complete digestion means the formation of the or release of end products. So when protein get digested, end product of protein digestion, you have to keep in mind amino acids. Similarly, end product of carbohydrate digestion, always keep in mind glucose. And end product of lipid or fat digestion will be glycerol or fatty acids. So these end product also we need to remember. End product of protein digestion. When protein will completely get digested, at the end we will get amino acids. And amino acids are the absorbable form that can be absorbed inside the blood. Similarly, any form of carbohydrate we take, that will be converted into its simplest form, that glucose or that is the monomer, okay, or monosaccharide. Then only they can be absorbed. So let's look into the role of pepsin. Pepsin arises from the pepsinogen. It is the active enzyme. So pepsin help in digestion of protein, complex proteins. Okay, protein digestion, or it is a proteolytic enzyme. Proteolytic means this help in breakdown of protein. Proteo means protein, lytic means breakdown. Okay, so quickly we should write here protein. Okay, on arrow you can write pepsin, and that will be digested into partial digestion. So intermediate products are peptones and peptide. These are the segment of proteins. Please remember, the product will be peptones and peptides. These are the segment. Like this is a complex protein, so here there will be formation of segments. Still it is not completely digested. So here what happens? Partial digestion of the protein, and the complete digestion will take place in the small intestine. So we'll continue about this juice. Okay, then there is enzymes. Particular enzyme we have talked about pepsin, and third component we have to remember, that is the mucus. So please remember, hydrochloric acid helping activation of the enzyme pepsinogen into pepsin, kills the microbes and provide acidic medium. Pepsin help in partial digestion of complex protein. Complex proteins are broken down into peptide and peptones. These are the segments of protein. We can consider them as the segment of proteins, or these are the chain of amino acids. Then mucus lining, our inner lining of stomach. Complete intestine have the inner lining protected by the mucus. But please remember, in the stomach the mucus layer is thick, and this mucus, please remember, protect lining of stomach from hydrochloric acid and proteolytic enzyme or protein digestive enzyme pepsin. Beside pepsin, other enzymes are also found, like renin, which help in digestion of milk and all. So remember, gastric juice contain hydrochloric acid. The enzyme released is in form of pepsinogen, in form of inactive enzyme, that is pepsinogen, and there is also presence of the mucus. And after partial digestion, after action of gastric juice, after churning of food, the pulpy food which passes to the small intestine is known as chyme. This word also you can keep in mind, that is known as the chyme. Next part we are going to take is the gland, that is liver. Okay, so liver you can see here, this is reddish brown gland. This is the largest gland of our body. Liver play many important functions in our body, but here we are going to talk about only the role of liver in digestion. When we talk about the role of liver in digestion, liver secrete a juice that is known as bile juice, and that bile juice contain no enzyme. So this is very important point to note here. There is secretion of juice, but in bile juice there is no presence of digestive enzyme. Bile juice contains some salts, bile salts, and these bile salts help in breakdown of fat drops or lipid drops into fine droplets, micelles. So these droplets or micelles can be easily digested by the enzyme called lipase. Another importance of bile juice is alkaline in nature, and that alkaline bile juice help in neutralization of the acidic medium of the food. You know, as food enter from stomach to the small intestine, that is highly acidic. This acidity is due to hydrochloric acid, and for the further action of other enzymes, this acidity to be neutralized, and this neutralization of the intestinal tract is carried out by the bile juice. This is very important because there is presence of some bicarbonates. Okay, so let's quickly take down some important points about the liver. And secretion of liver, that is the bile juice, is carried to the small intestine, and the duct is known as hepatic duct, or in simply we say that is the bile duct. And bile juice is stored temporarily in a structure associated with the liver, that is known as the gallbladder. So here you can notice this is gallbladder, green color of point is given, gallbladder. Okay, so liver, we know this is the largest gland. Okay, secretion is called bile juice, but remember in bile juice there is no digestive enzyme. No digestive enzymes are present. This is very important to note here. Bile juice contain bile salts. Okay, no digestive enzyme, only bile salts. Helping. This is most important. First point is emulsification. That word we use, emulsification. Emulsification means breakdown of fat drops into microscopic small droplets or droplets. Now why it is essential? Emulsification. Emulsification helping action of lipase enzyme. So we will discuss source of lipase. So this action takes place. Lipase enzyme means lipase helping digestion of fat, digestion of lipids or fats. So please remember, here we have learned the new term, that is emulsification. Emulsification is breakdown of fat drops into droplets. Okay, these broken droplets can be easily digested by the enzyme called lipase. ASE is always suffix we use for, that is the enzyme. So lipase digests the fat, lipids. For action of lipase, fat drops to be broken down into small droplets, and this is carried out by the bile juice. It contains different pigments, carbonates. These are the bilirubin and biliverdin. Name we are not going to discuss. Okay. Besides that, bile juice also helping neutralization of intestinal tract, or in other word we can say it neutralize effect of hydrochloric acid. This is very important. It neutralizes the effect of hydrochloric acid, neutralize the intestinal tract. Bile juice carried by duct, called, simple term we can use, that is the bile duct or hepatic duct, bile duct. Bile juice stored in structure called, this is more important, gallbladder. Remember it, the very small sac-like structure associated with the liver is called gallbladder. So here, just below the stomach, liver, you can see there is presence of gallbladder. Gallbladder helping storage of bile juice. And this bile duct, please remember, bile duct opening. This bile duct open in the small intestine. The part of the small intestine that is called duodenum. Here this bile duct open. Okay. So this is all about the liver. Okay. Next we will cover, that will be pancreas and small intestine. So complete digestion of food will takes place in small intestine. Okay, so in next video we will continue about the small intestine and the pancreas. Thank you.